Yo, what is good? What is good, chat? So, I am gonna be working on my game here. As you can see, very Sigma game. So, yeah, so this is my game in case you don't know. My dad just played it. He said it is very Sigma. Well, he didn't really say that. He said it's very good and that I should publish it on App Store. On the App Store? Maybe. I don't know how to do that though. I'm gonna go ahead and search it up, see how to do that. How to publish. Like, I'm not really gonna follow the full tutorial right now. The game isn't even complete done yet. But, just like get a good understanding of how hard it is.
Alright guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people. This video is an update for the one we published some 3 years ago. There are some changes that have been introduced since then, but overall the publishing process is the same. So in this video we will show you how to create a developer account, set up your app listing, build your mobile game in Unity, and submit it for review. Now before we move on, generally speaking, to build an app to be published in App Store you need a Mac. If you don't have one, I believe it is still possible to build your app, but it will probably take some jumping through hoops, which is unfortunately outside the scope of this video. Alright, so let's get to work, shall we? So first of all, we go to Apple Developer and click Account. Here we need to sign in. You can use any Apple ID to do that, but I recommend creating a separate Apple ID for development purposes, which you can do right here by pressing this Create link. When you have your Apple ID, you sign in here. To see this developer dashboard, where Apple is graciously offering you to enroll in the Apple Developer Program for $99 a year. If you don't do that, you won't be able to publish your apps, and if you do not renew your subscription every year, your apps will no longer be available in the App Store. If you find this brutal, I agree with you, but it is what it is. Alright, once you've shelled out 99 bucks, your developer dashboard will evolve into this. But before we do anything here, we're going to start installing Xcode that we will need later to build and upload our app. So if you don't have Xcode yet, you open App Store on your Mac, look up Xcode, start installation, and put App Store away for now. Now we're going to create a certificate by clicking Certificates here. Apple uses certificates to verify you as a developer, meaning the purpose of a certificate is to prove that you are the legit developer and not an imposter. Alright, since we're
was good? So like I'm back. I was just eating dinner, but I couldn't tell you guys because my headphones were out of battery. I'm trapped in a basement. Escape. Please help me.
Create a separate scene that is going to act as our end screen. This scene will be loaded when we complete the last level, in our case level 3. So let's go File, New Scene, or press Ctrl N. Let's create some UI, so let's go and right click, go UI, and let's select Panel. Again, the panel is just an image that fills our entire screen. Let's switch to 2D mode and hit F to focus on it. Let's remove the source image, so we just get a blank color, and let's make this non-transparent. Let's also make it a bit gray. We're going to call this panel Credits, and on top we'll just an image that fills up, but they're just for test purposes. Now we can go ahead and create a separate scene that is going to act as our end screen. This scene will be loaded when we complete the last level, in our case level 3. So let's go File, New Scene, or press Ctrl N. Let's create some UI, so let's go and right click, go UI, and let's select Panel. Again, the panel is just an image that fills our entire screen. Let's switch to 2D mode and hit F to focus on it. Let's remove the source image, so we just get a blank color, and let's make this non-transparent. Let's also make it a bit
Calm down.
gray. We're going to call this panel Credits, and on top we'll create a UI element Text. Again, let's hit F to focus on it, and let's make some more room for this one. I'm holding down Alt to scale from the center. Let's also center it on the X and Y. Let's change the text to
Calm down.
switch to 2D mode and hit F to focus on it. Let's remove the source image, so we just get a blank color, and let's make this non-transparent. Let's also make it a bit gray. We're going to call this panel Credits, and on top we'll create a UI element Text. Again, let's hit F to focus on it, and let's make some more room for this one. I'm holding down Alt to scale from the center. Let's also center it on the X and Y. Let's change the text to something like "Thanks for playing," and let's make the font size something around 50. I'm gonna widen it a bit. Let's also go into the font and change it to Roboto Thin. You can see now that if we maximize our game by hitting Shift Space, our text stays the same size. To change this, we go to the canvas and change the UI scale mode to Scale with Screen Size.
Buddy, you just might. Just a little tip that I want to give you here. You might just want to calm down. Just a bit. Or a lot. But a pro tip for me, you just might want to calm down a bit before you see my dark side. Dun, 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 dun.
And drag it all.
Dun 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 dun. You ain't slick. I'm going to murder you. I'm kidding, buddy. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started, buddy. Oh, boy. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Okay, let me just make this 0 real quick. 0. 0, very good. 0, very nice. Very good, very nice, very good, very nice.
All the way to fit the height. So now it scales up. We can then take our text object and move it up. Let's rename it to something like "Thanks." We can then duplicate it by hitting Ctrl D, Shift drag it down towards the center, and let's change the text to "Made by." Let's change the font size to something like 20, and change the font to Roboto Medium. Again, we can duplicate this, move it down, and here you can just write your name. I'm just gonna write Brekkies. Change the font size to 50 again, and the font back to Roboto Thin. I think that looks pretty good.
I bet. That's mean. That's mean. You know why? That's mean because it's mean. Thanks for playing. Why is it not all capitals? There we go. There we go. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine, that's cool, that's
Let's
cool.
also take these two text elements and move them up a bit. And let's rename the first one to made by and the second one to brackeys. Finally, we can create a button that will allow us to exit the game. So I'm going to right click on the credits, go UI and then button. Let's move this down along the center. Let's scale it up. I don't want it to be too big. And then I'm going to show you some pretty cool button styling that I like to do. I like to take the source image and select none. Again, so we get a flat color. I like to leave this at completely white. Then I'm going to add a new component. And the component we want to add is shadow. Now,
Ooh. Ooh. What he did there. That was very smart. But also very dangerous. What he was doing there, that's very smart. But very dangerous. You never want to do stuff like that. No, you can't. Never do that stuff again. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh.
now this allows us to cast a hard shadow onto the background.
I bet. Sure. Sure, buddy. Sure. Sure, buddy. Yeah, bro. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, bro. Sure. Yeah, bro. Definitely. Yeah, bro. Definitely.
I'm going to select 0 on the X and -2 on the Y.
Buddy. You might want to calm down there.
And I'm then going to decrease the opacity. This gives it kind of a cool, simplistic, modern look. I'm also going to make the button even smaller. Then we can change the text of the button. Let's change the text to crit, the font to Roboto regular, and the font size to something around 20. We can maybe also make the color a bit lighter. I think that's better. So when you're satisfied with
Just make this whole thing a bit wider. There we go. That's good. Perfect.
this, all we need to do is hook up the button to some kind of script. Let's go to our credits and add one. We can just go ahead and call it credits, and let's open it up in Visual Studio. Now when
Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started.
whenever we want to trigger some code using a button, we need to make sure that the function we create is marked as public. Normally when we make a function, we just write void, then the name of the function. In our case, this would be something like quit, and then some curly brackets. But you can see that if we save this and go back into Unity and then go and select our button, we add an onClick event. This means that whenever our button is clicked, it's going to notify whatever object we put in here. And we're going to put the credits object because that's where our script is sitting. And as the function we want to call, we're going to go under credits. And in here you can see that there's no quit method. So instead we go into Visual Studio and we mark it as public. Now when we save, we should see...
Bro, calm down! Mister, I don't like the way you're looking at me right now. Mister, I don't love the way you're looking at me right now. Gotta say, I'm not too fond of it. I'm not too fond of the way you're looking at me right now, sir. Sir, stop resisting.
Mark it as public. Now when we save, we should see that when we try and search for a function, it appears. So let's select that. Studio and we mark it as public. Now
What the frick? Bro, why the hell is there 2 credits? That's the correct one. Buddy, get out of here. What is that? What is that, bro? Get out of here, buddy. There we go. What the hell? Okay, buddy.
Now when we save, we should see that when we try and search for a function, it appears. So let's select that. Instead we go into Visual Studio and we mark it as public. Now when we save, we should see that when we try and search for a function, it appears. So let's select that. And now every time we click this button, this quit button, everything inside of these 2 curly brackets will happen. And we only want something very simple. We want to quit the application. So we go application.quit. And we're not going to be able to see this happening because Unity won't actually quit the game when it's inside of Unity. Only when you export it will it actually close down the window. So we'll just throw a debug.log statement as well. Let's say something
Oh, yo, wait, give me a sec. My grandma's calling me.